At the very core of our biological makeup, we possess a remarkable tool for healing, the stem cell. These are not just any cells, they are the body's foundational building blocks, a kind of internal repair system. What makes them so incredibly special is their unique potential, their versatility. Unlike a specialized cell, such as a skin cell or a muscle cell that has a fixed role, a stem cell is undefined. It holds the extraordinary ability to develop into many different cell types in the body, from brain cells to heart cells to bone cells. This chameleon-like quality is what makes them a focal point of intense medical research and excitement. They represent a frontier in medicine, holding the potential to regenerate and repair damaged tissue in ways we are only beginning to understand. This regenerative capacity is where the true promise lies. Imagine being able to coax these master cells into becoming healthy new tissue to replace what has been lost or damaged by injury or disease. The theoretical applications are breathtaking and span nearly every field of medicine. For someone with a spinal cord injury, it could mean repairing severed nerves. For a patient with heart disease, it could mean creating new, healthy heart muscle to replace tissue damaged by a heart attack. For those suffering from degenerative diseases like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, the hope is that stem cells could be used to replenish the specific brain cells that have been lost, potentially slowing or even reversing the disease's progression. The source of these powerful cells varies, which also contributes to the scientific and ethical discussions surrounding them. Embryonic stem cells, derived from embryos, are considered pluripotent, meaning they can become any cell type in the body. This makes them incredibly valuable for research, but also a source of ethical debate. On the other hand, adult stem cells are found in small numbers in most adult tissues, such as bone marrow or fat. While their ability to differentiate is often more limited than their embryonic counterparts, they are easier to obtain and do not carry the same ethical baggage. Scientists are constantly discovering new ways to find and utilize these cells, even reprogramming regular adult cells to behave like stem cells. The ultimate goal of this research is not just to treat symptoms, but to fundamentally cure diseases from the inside out. The vision is a future where we can harness the body's own innate healing mechanisms to combat a wide range of debilitating conditions. We are talking about personalized medicine at its most profound level, using a patient's own cells to repair and restore function. This is not science fiction. It is the active pursuit of thousands of researchers around the world. The journey from the laboratory bench to the patient's bedside is a long and careful one, filled with rigorous testing and validation. But the potential to revolutionize medicine keeps driving the science forward. When we talk about stem cell therapy, it is crucial to draw a very clear line between what is scientifically proven and what remains experimental. On one side of this line, we have established life-saving treatments that have been used for decades. The most well-known example is the bone marrow transplant, which is essentially a type of stem cell therapy. This procedure is used to treat patients with certain blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma, as well as other blood disorders. Doctors use stem cells from a healthy donor's bone marrow to replace the patient's unhealthy cells, effectively rebooting their entire blood-forming system. This therapy has undergone extensive clinical trials and is considered a standard of care, a safe and effective treatment backed by decades of solid scientific evidence. On the other side of the line, however, lies a vast and largely unregulated market of unproven treatments. These are the therapies you might see advertised by private clinics or medical spas, often for a very high price. They are marketed for a dizzyingly wide array of conditions, including chronic joint pain, arthritis, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, and even for cosmetic purposes like anti-aging facials. The problem is that for the vast majority of these applications, there is little to no robust scientific evidence to show that the treatments are either safe or effective. They have not been subjected to the rigorous, large-scale clinical trials that are required to prove a medical therapy actually works. The danger of these unproven therapies is very real and twofold. First, there is the financial risk. These treatments can cost thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars and are almost never covered by insurance because they are considered experimental. Patients, often desperate for a cure, can end up spending their life savings on a therapy that offers little more than a placebo effect. This creates a market that preys on hope, selling expensive promises that science cannot yet deliver on. It's a significant financial burden for patients and their families who are already dealing with the challenges of a chronic illness. More importantly, there are significant health risks. Injecting cells into the body, especially when done without strict regulatory oversight, can lead to serious complications. These can range from infections at the injection site to the growth of tumors if the cells behave unpredictably. There have been documented cases of patients suffering severe adverse effects, including blindness after receiving stem cell injections in their eyes, and a patient who developed a tumor in their spinal cord after undergoing treatment at a clinic. These are not just theoretical dangers, they are real-world consequences of bypassing the established scientific process for validating new medical treatments. In recent years, we have seen a dramatic explosion in the number of for-profit clinics and so-called medical spas marketing stem cell therapies directly to consumers. These businesses often operate in a regulatory gray area, making bold claims about their ability to cure a host of ailments without the scientific backing required for mainstream medical treatments. According to experts like Paul Knopfler, a stem cell researcher at UC Davis, this burgeoning industry poses a significant risk to public health. These clinics often use persuasive marketing language, patient testimonials, and a veneer of scientific legitimacy to attract customers who may be vulnerable and desperate for solutions that conventional medicine cannot yet provide. The message from these clinics is often one of empowerment and cutting-edge science, suggesting that patients can access the future of medicine today. However, what they are typically selling are treatments that have not been approved by regulatory bodies like the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The FDA has rules about how human cells and tissues can be used, and many of these clinics offer procedures that fall outside of these regulations. The concern among many in the scientific community is that the oversight is not strong enough, and that it could even be weakened, further blurring the line for patients between legitimate research and commercial exploitation. This issue has been amplified by the public stories of celebrities and other public figures who have sought out these treatments. For instance, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been vocal about his own experience, revealing he traveled to Antigua for a stem cell treatment for a voice condition. He has publicly stated that the therapy helped him enormously and has even called for an end to what he describes as the FDA's aggressive suppression of these therapies. When a prominent figure shares a positive personal anecdote, it can be incredibly powerful and persuasive, often more so than dry scientific data. It lends an air of credibility to the treatments that they may not scientifically deserve. However, these personal stories, while compelling, are not a substitute for scientific proof. A single person's experience, no matter how famous they are, does not prove that a treatment is safe or effective for the general population. Medicine relies on large, controlled studies to rule out the placebo effect and to identify potential risks that might only appear when hundreds or thousands of people are studied. The endorsement from a public figure can unfortunately mislead people into thinking a therapy is widely accepted and risk-free, encouraging them to pursue unproven treatments without fully understanding the potential dangers or the lack of evidence supporting the clinic's claims. In this complex and rapidly evolving landscape, it is absolutely essential for patients and their families to proceed with extreme caution. The promise of stem cell research is immense, but the hype surrounding unproven therapies can be dangerous. The first and most important step for anyone considering a stem cell treatment is to have an open and honest conversation with their trusted primary care doctor or a specialist in their condition. These medical professionals can help you understand what treatments are proven, what is still in the research phase, and what is being sold without sufficient evidence. They can provide context that a clinic's marketing materials will almost certainly leave out. Before moving forward with any procedure, it is vital to do your own research using reliable sources. Be wary of clinics that rely heavily on patient testimonials instead of published, peer-reviewed scientific data. Ask tough questions. Is this treatment FDA approved for my specific condition? Can you show me the results of the clinical trials? What are the specific risks and potential side effects? A legitimate medical provider or researcher will welcome these questions and provide clear, evidence-based answers. If a clinic seems evasive, promises a cure for multiple unrelated diseases, or pressures you to make a quick decision, you should see these as major red flags. Remember that legitimate clinical trials are a crucial part of advancing medicine, and they are very different from the services sold at for-profit clinics. Participating in a real clinical trial, often run by a university or major medical center, does not require you to pay large sums of money. In fact, these studies are carefully designed to protect patient safety and gather critical data under strict ethical guidelines. If you are interested in contributing to science and exploring new therapies, look for registered clinical trials on official government websites, such as clinicaltrials.gov. This is a much safer pathway than paying out of pocket for an unproven commercial procedure. In conclusion, while the future of stem cell therapy holds extraordinary potential, the present is filled with both genuine hope and significant hype. The science is advancing, and one day stem cells may indeed provide cures for some of our most challenging diseases. But we are not there yet for most conditions. For now, the wisest course of action is one of informed skepticism. Arm yourself with knowledge, rely on the advice of qualified medical experts, and be critical of claims that sound too good to be true. Your health is your most valuable asset, and it is worth protecting from unproven promises, no matter how appealing they may sound.